Back in November of last year, I made a video talking about the 5 AM at Freddy's series by Piemations and whether or not it's still held up to this day. If you didn't watch the video, spoilers, but I concluded at the end of the video that the series does hold up. 5 AM at Freddy's the prequel, sequel, and final horror reviews being great, with the first one being just good or decent. Well, on October 27th of this year was the official US theatrical release of the long-awaited Five Nights at Freddy's movie. This movie brought FNAF into a massive spotlight, and this has been happening for basically 2 years thanks to the release of FNAF Security Breach. This newfound popularity for the FNAF series had led people from the old days of the series to come back and make FNAF content. The most notable being the Living Tombstone, where he made This Comes From Inside,
Long time ago it was all for a show, with a pound of salt.
a Join Us for a Bite remix, and a goth remix of his first ever FNAF song. The next somewhat notable, I'd say only somewhat, is because they're not that respected, but it's still an oldie comeback. Luhigini. He made a Security Breach musical, and then the third notable creator who made their FNAF comeback thanks to the newfound popularity of FNAF, the topic of this video, Piemations, yeah! On October 28th, the day after the release of the FNAF movie, Piemations released 5 AM at Freddy's Superstar Edition, as well as a music video called Here to Rock. This got people excited, of course, and this was the official return of the 5 AM at Freddy's series, a return that nobody thought would be happening. It was said for a long time that 5 AM at Freddy's, the final horror reviews, would be the last. A 5 AM at Freddy's sister location was in production, but was ultimately cancelled. Despite all that, nobody saw this return coming, and it was a surprise. Today I just want to make a quick review on this entry of the 5 AM at Freddy's series, just to update that video of mine from last year. Here are my thoughts on 5 AM at Freddy's Superstar Edition. 5 AM at Freddy's Superstar Edition was great. I enjoyed it a lot. Now, it isn't my favorite of the 5 AM at Freddy's series, but it is definitely nearly there and is in the great tier with the 3 I mentioned in the intro. To start off, I want to quickly talk about the decision to make this an episode about Security Breach as opposed to the FNAF movie. Now, I've seen people confused over this decision, and am I the only one who gets it? I understood why they made their episode that was released after the FNAF movie about Security Breach. Basically, if they were to do an episode about the FNAF movie, it would just be the first 5 AM at Freddy's again, since that one's based off of FNAF 1 like the movie. Now, of course, you could throw Abby in and Afton, but still. It's clear Piemations had a better vision for a Security Breach entry than a FNAF movie entry, so this is probably the best we can get for right now. Although I would kill to see an official remake of the first 5 AM at Freddy's. Now I have to acknowledge this next part. I did notice that the edgy humor in this one is heavily toned down in comparison to the other videos of this series. However, those were made in 2014 and 2015, back when YouTube's guidelines were less strict. It's 2023 now. YouTube is bonkers with quote-unquote inappropriate content. However, Piemations in my eyes has always been able to get around this obstacle by still having some inappropriate humor in their newer stuff, but also go for a more stupid or silly form of comedy that is just as funny and possibly even funnier than the edginess. And 5 AM at Freddy's Superstar Edition is no exception. It has edgy jokes still, like the whole jokes, but it also has jokes like the pee-pee poo-poo pass that just aim to be silly, but in a funny and comedic way. It works still, and so therefore, I don't have issues at all with the toned down comedy. It shows that Piemations is able to adapt to modern YouTube guidelines without losing charm. Speaking of comedy, it is still really good in this one. My favorite joke of the whole video by far is the abrupt ending, where after Gregory tells the animatronics that he did want to leave the Pizzaplex, Glamrock Freddy just kicks him out, hits Gregory with the "come again soon," stupidly runs back into the Pizzaplex, Monty randomly saying his rock and roll catchphrase, and abrupt text stating that Gregory is homeless. Literally hilarious, and I was laughing at that for a good minute. It's all paced perfectly to the point where it feels abrupt, but in a funny way. Excellent. I also laughed at the whole jokes. They're so out of context in the perspective of Roxy that it's so perfect. I also laughed at the scene where Glamrock Freddy fucking bites and presumably kills Moon, and it leaves Gregory traumatized, even afterwards when Freddy's just happily talking. I adore that. It shows a contrast between reality and the fun nature of Glamrock Freddy. The facial expressions are also on point, which is always a positive with Piemations. The random facial expressions that happen in a single frame are usually great because of the comedic value they have. However, even with this, the dialogue-focused humor this time round is really good. There's moments where I just laugh at how certain lines are presented, and just the lines in general like this one.
There may be other exits around the Pizzaplex, but I do not know where they are.
Free map.
I might know where they are.
That it's funny. Also, the pee-pee poo-poo pass stuff is great. It's silly and stupid, but it made me chuckle. Another thing about this video that's really good is the animation. It's no surprise though that the animation is good. Piemations usually has great animation in his videos, and the character designs are usually pretty clean, good, and appealing. This one is no exception. The animatronics and even Gregory look accurate, but appealing at the same time. It's good for the animation feel. I did notice one thing with the animation though, which I'm stuck on whether or not it's an error or it's an intentional joke. It's the part where after Roxy leaves Glamrock Freddy, and Glamrock Freddy goes over to Gregory after throwing him out of his stomach hatch because of Roxy, it looks like Freddy is being dragged across the screen. I don't know, it's strange. Since it's Piemations we're talking about here, it might be intentional, but who knows. The other thing I want to praise about this video is the voice acting. Mostly because the voices are accurate to the characters, especially Gregory's. His voice was great. Glamrock Freddy's and Roxy's were good too. Speaking of Glamrock Freddy, he stole the show in my opinion. He has the best lines and moments for me, similar to the actual security breach, huh. The other thing I want to point out is when Glamrock Freddy uses a phaser blaster on Roxy, she says this.
Fucking, you're a dick!
It's a clear reference to 5 AM at Freddy's the prequel. It's such a cool reference. Adding on, there's a lot of parallels to 5 AM at Freddy's, the prequel, in this video. Mostly with how Roxy's in the place of Withered Foxy, where she's the one with a brain and everyone else is either kind of silly or stupid. Monty and Glamrock Chica both being very big parallels to Toy Bonnie. It's something I noticed. And that covers it for the video, but we're not completely done. There's a music video attached to this animation, which is the credits song Here to Rock. It's so fucking good. The lyrics are pretty hilarious, especially with how Chuck E. Cheese can suck cock, and the singing gives off a very early 2000s music tone, which is so neat. Despite being a parody song, I go the big leap and say this song is better than most modern FNAF songs. Yep, I'm serious. I also love how Glamrock Freddy in the music video literally shuts down on stage, similar to the intro of Security Breach. All around though, that's all I have to say about 5 AM at Freddy's Superstar Edition as well as Here to Rock. Both are very good at what they do and are both enjoyable to watch / listen to. Had a blast. In conclusion, 5 AM at Freddy's Superstar Edition is just as great as the series greats. Now, of course, it's to be noted that this entry in the series is not as edgy as past videos in the series. However, as I stated in the review, I believe that it doesn't hurt the video in any way and makes room for even more funnier humor. In return, it makes this one actually pretty damn good. Me personally, I would put this one at the number 3 spot in the 5 AM at Freddy's ranking, or in between 5 AM at Freddy's the prequel and 5 AM at Freddy's the Final Horror Views. I genuinely prefer the jokes in Superstar Edition, but Final Horror Views is still hilarious, without a doubt. This one is seen as pretty good among people in the community or people who've seen it, and it was a great return of the 5 AM at Freddy's series. It will stand to me as one of my personal favorite FNAF fan series of all time. And that's basically it for this video. That was my review of the newest episode of 5 AM at Freddy's by Piemations. When it comes to this channel, I've been working on an iceberg for the FNAF movie, which is making good progress, and as well, I will announce this. If you like to hear me talk about Piemations, you'll be happy to hear that on my third channel, Tyler's World, where I strictly talk about non-FNAF stuff, I am making a video where I review and rank every single episode of Suction Cup Man. That one has been fun to make too. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Toodles, and remember, Chuck E. Cheese can suck my cock.
'Cause we're awesome. We're top of the line, yeah, we're awesome. Now it's party time, so come on! Freddy's front stage, taking the mic.
All right.
Roxy's looking good all night. I'm the best. She can shreds and shakes the air. And Monty is also there.
Rock and roll. terror.
Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizza Place. We're installing